Jala.
Awesome, thank you. So calling the meeting to order. Quick roll call. We have Councilwoman Comer in attendance, and we have Councilman Abercrombie, designee for David Lehman in attendance, as well as myself. So first things first, approval of October minutes. Do I hear a motion on that?
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, no abstaining. All right. There's a couple things on the agenda today. First up is our org chart, which was the most up to date, was sent over with this sort of meeting invite. I think changes had been made to make it a little bit more streamlined from a reporting and structure perspective. Descriptions at a high level were within that document for each of the different roles. This does not indicate open versus closed roles. The one big difference, or at least what stood out, was we are sticking to one staff attorney on this org chart versus previous versions that had multiple, I think, listed on it. But beyond that, questions, comments, concerns on the org chart?
No, a lot of back and forth to get to this place, and thank you to Ginny Ray, Andrea, and Ojala for putting in the work to get this done.
I just wanted to add too that we've identified a couple of positions. So I did share the org chart with HR, and there was a to be determined an executive assistant position that because DECD, I believe, has reached their EA limit. We've identified another position which I'm working with HR to modify to fit the council, as well as the outreach position. We were not able to identify with HR a position that kind of did that. And so we will most likely be going with the program manager title and doing preferred qualifications, which have already been developed that are around outreach, social media, marketing, program management.
And that TBD role, just to clarify, is going to be coordinating around sort of strategic initiative priorities, the programming, and so on. So it's not really a executive assistant type role. That was just the band we were looking at.
Right. Yeah. The position is called tentatively. The position is called Community Development Assistant Administrator.
So again, we're talking like technical HR job class versus like what the actual role is going to be. Sometimes there's a difference, but I think the role is going to be like a chief of staff type position, right? Isn't that the goal?
Yes.
Okay, and then we're working with HR to find a class that matches what the role we're looking for is.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we have found it. So I had to make some adjustments to it because it didn't quite fit the council, but that is an option that we had. And so I've done the revisions to add the council as a entity. So we're waiting to hear back from HR that those edits work.
So for next steps, do we need this approved by the full council at our next meeting?
Andre, was it the intention to have the council approve the org chart?
I mean, I don't think it's certainly not necessary for them to approve it. This was more around them having an understanding of the line item, the personnel line item, and what that constituted.
Okay.
So as long as the budget has that, the personnel aligned with the org chart, we should be fine.
Okay. So I don't think we need a motion or anything of that sort, but I would make a recommendation that we include it in the documents for the next council meeting, just so they are aware, and I'm happy to reference it during committee updates.
Will do.
Okay. Any further questions on org chart before we move on?
Nope.
Awesome. Right, Executive Director fiscal year 23 goals. So this was shared out now in an Excel format. Previously we had seen sort of a PowerPoint version of this. A couple of things that I noticed right off the bat. This feels very short term. These are detailed sort of deliverables for the next month and a half or so. I don't think I saw anything beyond February. And I'm not sure that this is giving us a good insight for, again, annual goals for the year with sort of sub deliverables underneath it.
We will, I'm sorry. So what I had Crystal send over was, and Crystal, you can resend it. And if you want to open it up, we do have a larger document. What I sent was the December goals only. So Crystal, do you have that available?
Just
I
give
can
me
actually
a
share. You want me to share my screen?
Could you please send it to, because I think it's gonna be hard from a shared screen perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us. I mean, monthly is great for you guys to manage, but for the governance committee and the council, I think understanding what the goals and expectations are between now and, June, end of sort of the fiscal year. And then also getting into the habit of having that for the coming fiscal year as well.
Okay. So this is what you see. This is what we're working from, and this is what the committee can receive. So we have, these are all the goals for the year till 6:30.
Those look like December, right?
I'm sorry, it is December. All right, this is the larger document. So these are all the goals. So you'll see that it is, I'll go to the top. So in operations, again, we've done a great deal of this, but developing the hiring plan, finalizing the budget, the proposed budget, the work plan, the legislative and communications area, legal area, program area. And that includes the community reinvestment, social equity, applicant technical assistance, workforce plan, loan program, accelerator program. I will have this sent over to you. So this is the full scope. And then this is our breakdown for what needs to happen and how we update that. And then this is just January. This is just February. This is just March, April, when it goes to.
So, yeah,
to
and
June.
that's fine for your sort of needs to be able to track against it. But I think for the council's purpose, that first master goals of here's what the year looks like is important.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you wanted it by month or if you just, we'll send the whole thing and then we'll update monthly.
And then there was also in the, I guess, the original document, another tab that had the Gantt chart. And I think those
Mhm.
were the high level goals. And so that might be helpful for the council to have as well, just because it will, as long as the dates are, I guess, are what they are supposed to be, then that Gantt chart will be able to track progress.
Crystal, can you try to send Mike Jefferson the link? I sent it to him. He said it's not working.
Sure, I'll resend.
Thank you.
Okay, so once we review those, I think, again, sharing the full years with the council will be important. I don't think there's any kind of formal motion that needs to be made on these, but we need to make sure that we've got something to sort of track against. And again, review by both the committee and the council to make sure that there's nothing missing on there. And so I haven't seen the full year, so it's hard for me to say. But moving forward, I think January, I expect that we've got the full year's version, and that's what we're seeing being updated against.
Yeah. And we may be adding some things to that master page as we find, little things that come up that we wanna track.
Other suggestions or requests for the goals?
Oh, if I could chime in, I would just say it's important to kind of set the document and then have something to kind of track throughout the year. So like this is something that was developed, kind of halfway through the year. So I would expect that we should, produce a new one for fiscal year 2024, which will start on July 1. With the intention that, this committee revisit it every month, and, if it needs to be amended, like those kind of things, get brought up for discussion, and we can, just have a conversation and be made aware of things that are changing. Some things are going to be obvious, like that we missed, you can't plan for everything, obviously. But, it's just good to keep us aware of like what's happening. And, from, an internal perspective, obviously it's super helpful for the council staff to be able to kind of track their work, make sure they're on task and what they have to get done. I guess my main point is like having something to track against. So, when you make changes, we should try to be as inclusive as possible of everything we think we're going to do over the next year, and creating something that's collaborative with the council. And then as changes happen, just, letting people know. I don't know if I'm getting my point across as clearly as I want to, but
I think that makes sense. And I think that's a great point to just kind of visit that document as a standing agenda item for the governance committee to, again, so January, any changes on start and end dates shouldn't be made unless it's been discussed. If it's a small and not material change, that's okay. But if it's like, hey, we were expecting this thing to happen in January and we're not going to be able to do it until April, that needs to be flagged and brought up during those conversations.
So just give us an opportunity to, just to finalize this and have it down, and then we'll have the master for you, because we are still looking at a couple of dates, and we've gone back and forth on a few on.
Yeah, I would like for this to be in before January 1. I think we've
Okay.
spent a lot of time trying to nail down goals for 2023, and we're halfway through that fiscal year already. So we can, we could spend a lot of time adding, taking away, changing, but we need something to work off of. So I think before December 31st, a final version needs to be shared out with the full council, and that's what we're going to be working off of.
How do you want us to, so let's say something happens that prevents us from reaching a goal, a due date. How do you want us to reflect that if we're not going to be changing the dates?
I wouldn't
Add
change
another
it. I think you
column,
can
or-
add, a column. I mean, you've got one right now that's, status, so not started in process complete and not expected to meet deadline or something like that. And if you want to add a column for updated deadline date or something, that's fine. But I'd like to see the dates that are there to stay there.
So,
because those
and
need to be very fun.
one of the things that's happening is some of the dates we've met, we've beat what we thought.
That's great. And then
We finished in,
you just put
we finished
complete.
sooner. So, okay. But it won't indicate that they were completed sooner or faster. So I can actually do the actual, we can do the estimated, and I can add a column for the actual. Because I think that's important to know that if we, we thought something's gonna take a month and we got it done in 2 weeks, that's important to
So
know.
maybe actual completion date
Okay,
is fine to add as a column.
And January, let me know if I could be helpful with like manipulating the document. I don't mind doing that. I know tedious, creating new columns and things like that. I'm happy to help.
okay. Well, I'm turning it over to Crystal to now manage, and to keep updated. So we will look at it, like I said, one last time, and if we need any help, we will have her reach out.
Perfect.
Thank you, and thank you for your help in putting this together. If those numbers are something else.
Okay, other thoughts on the chart? Okay, so we should have something before the end of the year sent to the full council. And we're gonna use that as what we work off of. Please only keep the sort of master annual view. I think if you need something for yourselves separately on a monthly breakdown, that's fine. And we can hopefully set it up in a way where it's sortable. And we can kind of go through it based on due dates as needed. Okay. Next agenda item, annual review. So last year we started the annual review process in February. We had made a comment of wanting to get the process started a little bit earlier. If we could, just to ensure time for proper communications before the end of the fiscal year. I'd like for us to, well, one, I'd like to ask this committee, do we want to use the same format that we did last year, which was through a survey of the council, sort of a 360 review. And then I think this year we'll probably need to incorporate some level of employee feedback as well. And then traditionally what we've done is hold an executive session to just review the results and move from there. Ideally, we want to have that all done by the May council meeting. So the governance committee would need everything in by April, which means ideally launching things in January so that we've got plenty of time for it. Thoughts on the process?
No, that sounds right to me. I like the idea of making it a true 360 and allowing, staff to provide feedback. May have different questions than what you ask council members, but I think that's a good point.
I know with your transition, we'll just have to figure out, I don't remember what we used last year to host the survey, but we'd probably want to figure out the best way to do that.
I feel like it might have been a Google form. I can go back and check. And if not, then it was Doodle, and
Okay.
I can send you over, the original deck that was presented as part of the evaluation process.
And I know one of the concerns when we were first setting it up was just sort of being me as chair of governance, but being a non-government employee, storing some of that data, which is why we had you sort of run it and collect a lot of that information. I'm wondering if it might be something that we can ask Kyle to help with and maybe own, so that we don't have to run into those issues of, where is the information stored and how is it sort of kept confidential?
Sure.
Happy to help. Yeah, just let me know how you did it last time and I'll try and recreate it. Do we have to, get the questions approved by the governance committee, or do you want me to just take it and run with it?
I'm good with what we shared last year, but maybe Andrea, what you can do is just share it out again, just for us to
Mhm.
take a look at if you still have the document.
I do.
And then if there's no additional questions that we think need to be added, then we should be good to go.
Sure.
Anything else on review process?
Not on my end.
All right, I don't think we have any recommendations to the full council, but I'm happy to give an update on where we stand with org chart, the goals, and the annual review at the committee meeting. But no formal motions needed in this meeting for the council. Anything else for the good of the order?
Just that we are gonna actually poll the council members, because the next meeting, January 4th, is the same day as the opening of the session. So
Yeah, I
I
saw
got
that
a
it
couple of
included.
folks that said they may need to be at the Capitol. So I'll have Crystal send something out this afternoon so we can confirm by Friday, folks that are planning. We are prepared for the meeting, but if folks have conflicts, we should know and reschedule immediately. So we're looking at the second Tuesday, possibly, January
Yeah.
10th.
And it looks like inauguration's that morning too, so
Yeah.
that'll probably pull a few people out.
So we'll poll, if we have a quorum, we'll go for it. If not, we'll look to do it on January 10th.
Okay, can we have invites go out for governance meetings starting January, please?
They've already gone, I believe. Crystal is working on, she just did all of the council meeting invites. Crystal, you can go ahead and explain your schedule.
You're right, I
Uh,
see them
so-
on the calendar.
Okay, so Ojala, I do have, in the December 6th meeting, you weren't there, were you? At the council meeting?
No, I was not.
Okay, my apologies. I had sent out, the whole schedule for all the councils and all the committees. I will resend you for the governance. We're moving the governance to the second Wednesday from 1 to 2, same time, different Wednesday.
Okay, so you're gonna update the calendar invites that are
Yeah,
out
oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Okay,
everything's
I just
gonna
want,
be
that's what I
updated.
wanna make sure is that those have been updated.
Oh yeah, no,
Because right now
I'll
they're
be
still on for
updating,
the
so,
fourth Wednesday.
yeah,
By the
so
end,
I'll be
by,
changing them.
we're looking at having all of the meeting invites, Outlook meeting invites sent to the council by the 30th. Even
Okay.
sooner, I think we're gonna do it by I think the end of this week is when we're finishing it.
Yes,
Crystal,
ma'am.
is that correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
So we're working on it. It's on its way.
Plowing through, Ojala.
Great. All right. If nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
A second.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
All right.
Right.
Happy
care.
holidays, folks.
Bye.
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 You still there, Crystal?